Welcome to the Green Building Show, where we investigate green design and building trends throughout Australia.
Unlike a new build, creating a budget for your renovation can be notoriously hard to estimate. This week, we speak with Archicentre General Manager Ian Agnew, who's going to explain the ins and outs of creating a realistic budget for your renovation. In Australian style, we profile a spectacular lightweight addition to a dated Edwardian home in Melbourne, and Mark Jones will bring us the latest light home hot design blog. I'm here today with Ian Agnew. He's the General Manager for Archicentre for New South Wales, Queensland and the ACT. Thank you for being with us, Ian.
Pleasure.
So the focus of this topic is, really creating a realistic budget for your renovation. And Archicentre has the Archicentre cost guide, which is aimed at helping people create a realistic budget. Why was the cost guide created in the first place, and what sort of service do you think it provides?
Yeah, sure. Cost guide, I guess, with anybody embarking on a renovation or even a new build, budget is almost the key to the project, keeping to a budget. And for most people, it's the first time they've ever done a renovation, and certainly a renovation on that particular property. So no one really knows what it's going to be, and they may be first-time renovators. So it was really created as a point of reference for people, just to get an idea in the very first stages of planning how much it's going to be approximately to achieve the renovation. Okay, because it's been said previously, and by Archicentre particularly, that renovation costs, they're notoriously hard to estimate. I guess where does the cost guide come in, and how does it aid people? Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing, it's not a project home that you're building, it's not a flat site. It's the first time this particular renovation will be done, and potentially the last time, I guess. And so therefore, every job is a bespoke job, and also because of what you want, what your requirements are in terms of finishes and fittings and everything else. So in that regard, no one has any knowledge as to how much this is going to be. And if you are, I guess, mums and dads, finance is a very big part of it. You want it to stay within budget. You don't have pools of money to draw upon, if you're like me. And so therefore, it's all about, let's get some numbers so you can start to chunk it down. And then if things are looking that you may want, that is on the wish list, and it's just not going to be achievable compared to the other things that are potentially essentials, we want that advice up front. All
right, great. So what's the first step people can do? They've got the Archicentre cost guide in hand.
Yeah.
What's the next step before they actually put pen to paper and start writing up a budget? Do they need to plan first?
Absolutely, planning. And I guess in being Archicentre, the first thing we would advocate for people to do is sit down and spend some time with an architect. Go through, and we call it a home design consultation, and it's all about sitting down, going through the options. Because sometimes the option may well be, don't do anything. Sell the property because you're going to overcapitalise on it, or there may be some major structural problems around the property that are going to be either insurmountable, or a lot of your funds are going to go into actually rectifying those. So therefore, you've got to get that sort of go, no-go point first and foremost. Then the next question is, what are we going to do? And you're renovating, say, for a specific purpose. A baby's come along, granny's moving in or out, or teenagers are growing up, or there's maybe a home office coming along. So it's for a specific reason, but the way in which you achieve that can be varied. Do you go up, do you go out, do you go down? Who knows? And maybe creation of, say, multi-purpose rooms. So it's a matter of working through all the potentials, because whilst a lot of people think they know what they want and therefore how they're going to achieve it, what an architect can actually do is maybe come up with other options that they might not have considered before.
Okay, so I guess it comes down to assessing your wants over your needs, or vice versa, sorry?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. What are the needs of this project? Why are you doing it? And what is it that you want to achieve? And how much money have you got available to do that?
Okay, and when it comes to planning, how does that influence the budget?
Well, I guess, and we actually advocate to a lot of people that we work with, when you sit down with an architect or whoever, or whoever is helping you do this renovation or build, the budget has to be absolutely almost the top line. So this is what the money we've got. That's to include professional fees, council fees, and everything else. And once you start to chunk it down, then your planning from that point onwards can then go into the various requirements of the project.
Okay, great. And I guess what's the best way to calculate costs? I think the Archicentre cost guide, they recommend using a base rate per square metre as a starting point. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, using base rates, and I guess it's again another way of estimating, and you can be talking anything from say $1,000 a square metre to $2,500 a square metre. What that does is it actually first of all puts into the mindset that the more we want to do in terms of area, the more it's going to cost. So the more design work there's needed, the more materials and everything else. So once you start talking in square metre rates, everything has a cost to it. Now, the range of that can be incredibly varied because of the types of materials. What types of tiles do you want to use, or carpet, or are you putting in double glazed windows and all those sorts of things. So there's lots and lots of decisions from that point onwards. But the square metre rate as well is a good way of budgeting. And as I say, if you're looking around the $2,500 a square metre, that's probably where you need to be thinking in terms of alterations and additions.
Okay, and what do you think is the biggest mistake that people often make when it comes to their renovation and their budget?
It's a great question, and it's planning, and it's getting that initial planning in place from the very beginning. We always say to people that the cost guide is exactly that. It is a cost guide, but it is far better to be putting costs and estimates against an actual plan than it is just sort of thinking about numbers, in sort of free space. So we really like to see our customers go through the chunk down the phases. So you go through that design consultation and then go into a design concept, which will create the sort of room relationships and the spatial relationships. And then from that, an architect can do an estimate, an estimate of probable cost, as we call it. From that point onwards, you can then finesse that design and then go through develop design and then ultimately construction drawings. And it's at that particular phase that you'll really properly cost a renovation.
Final question, Ian. I guess if there's one piece of walkaway advice that you would give to your customers and as well as to our viewers,
yes,
what do you think that would be in terms of creating a budget for their renovation? What's the one key piece of advice that you really think they cannot do without?
Master plan. Master plan the renovation from the very beginning. It's all about setting a compass on it, because one of the things that ultimately hurts so many renovations in terms of budget is variations, because they get halfway into it and then they realise that this or that may not be able to be achieved, and then they have to do something to rectify that problem. If it's planned with meticulous detail from the very beginning, once you get to the construction phase, there are no surprises. Everybody knows how much it's going to cost, the timings, and that all the spaces and the finishes are as they should be, and that's how you keep to budget.
Ian Agnew, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you.
This week we found yet another self-diagnosed design tragic in award-winning designer Dana Tomic-Hughes. She is the founder of Yellowtrace.com.au, and which also has a design blog which since its inception in 2010 has attracted hundreds of thousands of followers. Yeah, the coolest thing about this blog is that they have this post gallery, which is very, very similar to Pinterest. It's something I haven't seen before on any of the blogs that we've already reviewed, where you can see all the imagery in one place, and then if you want to click through for more information, you just do so. The best thing about this blog is she can cover a wide range of different design topics, and the reason she can do this is she can pull this all together with her team of expert contributors. You can follow her at Dramatomic on Twitter.
I'm here today with Anthony Chan. He's the principal of Chan Architecture based in Melbourne. Thanks for being with us, Anthony.
Hi, Carlos.
Great. So we're talking today about the Abbotsford extension, which is a lightweight renovation that you guys did to an existing Edwardian home in Melbourne. Just tell us, Anthony, what was the brief from the client and what requirements were they looking for with this new extension?
Okay, so the house was it was sort of a collection of small rooms and didn't really have a good kitchen living area, so we demolished the rear part of the house and added a new kitchen living dining room as well as a upstairs master bedroom, ensuite, and a balcony upstairs. So that was the brief requirements.
All right, fantastic. And what was the main challenges with the project? I mean, going with an existing heavyweight home and then constructing a quite an impressive looking lightweight extension to it. Did that represent any significant challenges?
Probably the most difficult parts of the project were the site issues that we had. It was a very tight site. We had difficult soil conditions. Access was an issue and that kind of thing. So, and we had to work within a budget. So that's one of the reasons we looked at a lightweight solution. It doesn't add as much weight in construction. It allows more flexibility with the cladding in terms of colours and patterning and set outs and that kind of thing.
And just on the colour, sorry to interrupt there, Anthony, just on the colour, you actually won a Dual X Colour Award for this home, and the colour from the pictures I've seen are absolutely incredible. How did you get such vivid colour in this extension? Did you paint it, or was it left unpainted? Or?
So they're painted. They're painted James Hardy lightweight cement sheet cladding with express joins, and there was actually an old gum tree right where the extension is, and we, as a sort of a reference to that old tree, we took the colours from that tree and applied them on the cement sheet cladding. Yes, so that was the theory behind it anyway.
Great, and I guess with the you touched on it earlier, with the decision process revolving choosing the lightweight materials, I guess what else were factors when you went to decide on what materials to use for the extension?
Okay, so we looked at all the other materials in the area, the context. So we looked at things like a colour, the sheet metal cladding. We looked at obviously lightweight. We looked at materials that are low maintenance and also are quite easy to construct and quick to construct to save cost. So instead of things like masonry on upper levels, it was just a lot easier to build that way with using lightweight materials.
Perfect. Anthony Chan, thank you for your time.
Okay, no problem. Thanks very much.